I can still picture the first time I watched Space Jam. My parents brought home a VHS copy to entertain and distract me and my brother from being noisy. Smart move by my parents. It was my first experience watching a piece of media that blended the world of cartoons with live action. Needless to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I never was big into sports, but I remember being captivated by how bizarre and fun it was to see Michael Jordan among the Looney Tunes themselves, even if I didn't really know much about the basketball player before the movie. I think this first experience was so bizarre and fun for me as a kid that it makes it hard to look back critically on Space Jam as an older child. That being said, Space Jam 2 was released recently and I decided to try and enjoy the sequel. However, as you could probably guess by the title of this video, I was pretty disappointed by the final product. I'd like to take some time and talk about why Space Jam 2 is upsetting. Now, there will be some minor spoilers sprinkled throughout this video. Nothing plot intensive, just some stuff that occurs in the movie. If you care about that, then it might be best to watch the movie for yourself before watching the rest of this video. Also, I know it's called Space Jam: A New Legacy, but I'll be referring to it as Space Jam 2. I think before we dive into its problems, I should mention a few things I liked about the movie. I think LeBron James' acting was better than Michael Jordan's performance. Not by a large margin, though. Now, the only advantage LeBron had over Michael's performance was really his expressiveness. With that said, this supposed advantage actually works against LeBron throughout the entire movie. A lot of the acting fell flat, especially since LeBron was clearly trying to play a goofier, more animated character. Michael's relatively stoic attitude was a nice contrast to the crazy environment he was thrown into. Not to say that his acting was good, he just didn't draw any attention to his acting like LeBron did.
That's all, folks!
This made the movie feel less serious, which is great because it's a movie featuring the Looney Tunes. Because LeBron was making an effort to be a bit more goofier and, well, loony, it took away that dynamic that made the original Space Jam work. Being famous doesn't automatically make you a good actor. It just felt like they were forcing something that didn't work. Honestly, LeBron put it perfectly himself.
I'm a ball player. You know, an athlete's acting, that never goes well.
So this was something that the writers were well aware of, but also wanted to leave that quote in the movie to draw attention to itself. It probably would have been a better joke if it didn't feel like LeBron was taking the role too seriously. Also, cartoonifying, I think that's a word, LeBron made it more apparent that he wasn't a skilled voice actor either. Adding these animated expressions on an actor that wasn't able to animate his voice to the same extent left it feeling like the voice just didn't match what we were seeing. I also enjoyed the Looney Tunes characters interacting with other universes. It was incredibly fun seeing Granny Matrix kick a police officer through a wall. I enjoyed the few nods they made to the original 1996 movie, but most of them were pretty subtle.
So, you want me, a talking cartoon bunny, to play with you, an NBA superstar, in a high-stakes basketball game? Sounds awfully familiar.
The basketball game itself was fun to watch for the most part, albeit Porky Pig's rapping. Seeing the Looney Tunes turn the court into their own stage was just as much of a highlight as it was in the original. However, Space Jam 2 is a whole 30 minutes longer than the first. By the time we're halfway done with the basketball match in Space Jam 2, the original Space Jam is already rolling the credits. Even though the match is a movie highlight, because of 2's sheer length, the magic wears off rather early and you're just left sitting there wondering when it will be over. Okay, I know this was supposed to be a pros list, but you see the problem here? For every merit I can think of in Space Jam 2, I'm met with an abundance of glaring issues. I don't mean for it to come across that I think the first movie is perfect, because it's not. But the original Space Jam knew what it was. It didn't take itself too seriously. The human world didn't feel like something so separated from our world. I think it would help to compare how the two movies treat their main protagonists. Michael spends the start of the movie trying to move away from basketball into a sport he isn't so skilled at. We see Michael going through what is essentially a basketball player's version of a midlife crisis.
I hope this baseball thing is a good idea.
Well, yes, we know Michael is a great basketball player, and some of the characters treat him like the sports celebrity he is. We don't get the impression that Michael thinks he's the greatest man to walk the planet. Michael wants to change his identity, something that makes him, bad acting and all, a far more relatable character. On the other end, we have LeBron, who, for pretty much the whole movie, is seen as, well,
algorithmically speaking, he's more than an athlete. He's a king.
It's hard to like and root for a character just because everyone in the movie tells us how amazing he is. Space Jam 2 constantly spoon feeds us that LeBron is amazing at basketball. I knew Michael was an amazing basketball player too. Even after rewatching it, I never felt like they tried to drill that fact in. In addition, it's extremely weird seeing a parent scold a child in today's world for wanting to be a video game developer so he could play basketball? What were they thinking when they wrote this? I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure basketball is way more of a long shot as a career than game design. Like, I understand his son is well, the son of LeBron James. But why is basketball being spoon-fed to this child? It makes no sense. And let's also talk about this movie's target audience. Space Jam 2 doesn't seem to know what audience it's targeting. Clearly they want to hit some nostalgia points, which is why I'm here. However, remember that bit when I mentioned Granny Matrix kicking a cop through a wall? Well, in addition to the Matrix, there are cameos from Rick and Morty, Austin Powers, Casablanca, and Mad Max, which are clearly much more mature media, not suitable for younger audiences. I know these are probably placed in the movie to make the watching experience more enjoyable for parents sitting with their kids, but like, Rick and Morty? I don't know. I don't know. It seems Space Jam 2 suffers mostly from bad writing and vision. The first Space Jam felt like whoever worked on it just had fun with the idea. It was an experiment, exploring untested ideas against a fickle audience. The end result just turned out to be a fun watch. Nothing more, nothing less. The message of the movie was also more vague. It felt like things just happened and people took some lessons away from the experience. On the other hand, 2 just pushes the idea of just be yourself. So much so that it doesn't leave much room for anything else to be taken away. It was just one giant lesson, and the whole purpose of this movie was to teach LeBron the importance of being yourself.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
Which is confusing because it implies that LeBron became a basketball player out of necessity, not because he liked or enjoyed the sport, as you would figure. We even see him reluctantly going onto the basketball court as a kid in the beginning of the movie. You know, the more I think about it, the more confusing this message was when you look back at LeBron as a character in his own universe. Look. While I didn't expect Space Jam 2 to blow me away, I definitely did not expect it to be this hard to watch and this disappointing. I only typically watch sequels when it continues or expands on a story I'm already invested in. Space Jam 2 just feels like an attempt to copy the exact story of the first movie with a sort of modern spin. I don't know, everything's kind of futuristic. Is it actually our world? I guess algorithms are people too. Not to mention, it's sad that this is the first experience I've had with the Looney Tunes cast since, oh, Looney Tunes back in action. I love Looney Tunes, and for whatever reason, it feels like Warner Brothers threw them to the side until they decided to take them back out for Space Jam 2. One silver lining, there is hope that Looney Tunes themselves will make a comeback. Hell, if Animaniacs did it, who's to say that we won't be seeing Bugs Bunny on our favorite streaming website? I'm not holding out hope, just saying it'd be nice to see. It's similar to how I feel about Teen Titans Go. I'm not a big fan of where the Teen Titans franchise went, but I'm just happy they're still around. It gives hope that something we cherish isn't necessarily over and could pleasantly surprise us in the future. If there's anything positive to take away from Space Jam 2, it's that there's new hope to see the Looney Tunes back in the limelight. But I think that's something worth celebrating. Thank you all for taking the time to watch all the way through the video. I know this is not the typical content that I create, but it's something I've always wanted to try, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little experiment. In fact, I had a lot of fun making this video, and I think I'm gonna do more videos like it in the future. It would mean the world to me if you let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below, whether you enjoyed it or you have any criticisms. Maybe you disagree. Before we go, I want to take a moment to thank all my Patreon supporters for helping me support the channel and do what I do. You guys mean the world to me. I'll see you all in the next video.